everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada, and you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday night tonight. Keeping my days straight. It's been so busy around here, I keep forgetting what day it is. So keeping my days straight, and today is a technique. And now I know I've shared the fault line card in the past, but I really love tearing of cardstock and designer series paper. I love the look of it, and it's kind of fun to see what this fault line is going to turn out like. It, at least for me, turns out a little bit different each time depending on how you tear your paper or where you tear your paper. So I'm going to make a fault line card landscape using the Charming Day bundle. It's actually part of the Floral Charm suite. So this is a sneak peek. I used it yesterday on my live with the sketch, and I'm going to use it again today. This is one of the suites that you can purchase starting in July. It is absolutely gorgeous, and so if you didn't see the card that I made last night, check it out, because the designer series paper for this is absolutely stunning, and I did show all of the designer series paper last night. There is also what I didn't show last night was it's braided petal pink trim. I don't have it handy, but that's the other part that is part of this suite. So you get the bundle, the designer series paper, some charming shimmer faceted dots, get that right, and then this petal pink braided trim. All right, I'm going to switch over to my desktop, hoping that I'm going to see, I'm not seeing comments here, so then maybe oh, there we go. Yay, Connie. Well, hopefully you got the reminder. I know, I think it was you last night that said you hadn't got the reminder that I was live. Just checking to see if there's any comments. My internet, I think, went down at some point this afternoon. I don't know, because when I came back, things were not looking the same as they typically do. So I think my computers restarted themselves. All right, let me switch over and we will make a fault line card. Okay, so this is the Charming Day bundle. So as I showed last night, it's got some lovely, lovely sentiments, and then these really pretty roses, cabbage roses. Oh, still didn't get it. Okay, my reminder last night came later than normal. I did eventually get it. So some nice sentiments, and then the images that you can stamp, and then the dies have, of course, those die cuts to cut out the stamped images, and then a bunch of standalone ones. I'm going to use this one tonight, and some stems that I used last night. So it's got lots of extras to it besides the stamped images. And then these are the Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots, Petal Pink, Berry Burst, and I think that's Secret Sea, but it would definitely go with Night of Navy and Misty Moonlight as well. Melon Mambo for the real pink. Yeah, I know. It's all notifications are wonderful things. All right, I am using one of my absolute favorite colors tonight, and that's Timid Tiger. Hey, Zaina, welcome. Okay, and the reason I chose Timid Tiger, besides it's one of my favorites, is this is the designer series paper that I've chosen. Actually, two pieces of it. So one side is this lovely flowers with the Timid Tiger, Berry Burst, Petal Pink, and Misty Moonlight. And then the other side of it is this Misty Moonlight kind of mottled. So those are the pieces that I'm using. Okay, so let's start. Never made a fault line card. They look more complicated than they are. So we're going to score this this is 5.5 by 8.5. So we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And use our bone folder to fold into the mountain. And give it a good burnish. Ooh, Zeta, that's fun. Okay, so that's our card base. And then I've cut out some pieces. So what you need for a fault line card is you need a piece that's going to be kind of your focal point. And this is what's going to show between the two torn pieces. So I cut this piece 3.5, I think. No, 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Because what I found is when I've tried to cut it shorter like narrower, I get little gaps that don't show. So I made sure I had lots that it's going to cover all this torn section that's open. So this piece is going to just, you can just adhere this on to your card base. And I'm just going to put it roughly in the middle. So it's got a little bit more border top and bottom than it does on the sides, but it's going to get covered up. So we're just going to put that on like that for now. Okay, and then I have a piece of Timid Tiger and a piece of Designer Series paper. Both of those I cut to 3.5 by 5 1/4. So what we're going to do is we're going to tear this. So when you tear cardstock, the regular cardstock, it is not white centered. It is dyed all the way through. Designer Series paper, and you can, I don't know if you can actually see that, maybe you can kind of see, Designer Series paper has a white center to it, and so when you tear it, you'll see the white center. That's the same, excuse me, as our two-tone cardstock has a white center, so you can do all sorts of really cool techniques with it. You could use it for this technique if you wanted. So what I want to do is, I'm going to put this piece along here. This is one of the die cuts, so this is kind of my plan. So I want to tear it. I'm going to start. So I put these two pieces together, and I'm going to start at the top. And you want to tear towards you because that will show the white center. And I'll show you that when I'm done. So I'm going to just tear this at an angle. And it doesn't matter. My pieces are, as I'm tearing, are kind of going a little bit off. They're not completely aligned. But that's absolutely okay. It doesn't matter really how they tear. So now you see what you can, that white center. And if you don't want that white center, you can cover that up with, you could use a blending brush and cover it up. Shutters. Oh yeah, tearing it. Fun to tear paper. Now I might trim this a little bit, but what I want to do is, and so you can see the top, this piece has the white. This piece does not, but if I turn it over, it's white. So I'm going to actually use my blending brush to cover that up a little bit. And I am going to trim this because if I glue this on like I would normally, I'm not going to end up with much of my Designer Series paper showing through, and that's not what I want. I want that pretty paper to show. So I'm going to line these up, and I'm going to take 3/4 of an inch off of this. So this is when you cut your original pieces. I was just kind of estimating, and it just wasn't going to show enough. So there we go. So now I can put that on there, and I'm going to do the same up here because I want more of my Designer Series paper to show through. Oh, this is not for you? Oh, Zaina, you might be surprised if you try it. It's such a fun technique. And you're not, well, you don't have to use Designer Series paper. You could use two colors of cardstock and tear the cardstock if you wanted to. If you really don't want to tear your pretty Designer Series paper. Okay, so this one I just took 1/4 of an inch off, and so we'll have you know, a fair amount of our Designer Series paper showing. If you want more of your Designer Series paper showing, you could actually cut more of it off. And now that I've got that on there, I don't actually like it. It's kind of busy, so I think I'm not going to use my die cut. I think I'm just going to stamp some sentiments on here. I thought that might kind of look pretty, but what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I want to glue these together. But before I do that, hey Sharon, welcome. I'm going to take my blending brush, and this is Mossy Meadow, so let me grab my Mossy Meadow. And I'm gonna just I'm just gonna blend, because while I really like the look of the white center, because only one side of this has a white center, I'm just gonna blend some color so it's not quite so stark. It's still lighter, just not quite as stark as the other side. And because that's kind of got a darkness to it, we'll do the same on this, just to give it some kind of the same look. There we go. Okay, now the other thing you can do is, if you want to rough up these edges, it's okay, you don't have to do this. If you want to make it look a little bit rougher, you can take the edge of your scissors and just kind of rough up your fault lines. I'm just kind of taking them and using that sharp edge just to kind of rough them up a little bit, lightly with the designer series paper, because it will tear way easier. And then this piece, making sure I have this going the right way before so this is going to go on like that. Yeah, okay, so then we'll rough up. Remember when we used to distress? We used to distress everything. We actually used to have distressing tools. I just use my scissors now. I don't do this a lot, actually. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take, and you want to put the bottom layer, in this case the designer series paper, just a little bit below the second layer. Let's get my silicone mat so I don't get this all over my, and then I'm just, that's about, well, a little less than 1/4 inch, but thereabouts, you know, however much of this that you want. So we'll get this glued on, and then I'm going to do one more test to see if it's about the right width, and if it's not, I might trim just a little bit more off of it. Again, you want just about 1/4 inch-ish of that, in this case, Mossy Meadow showing. Okay. So this piece goes at the top, and this piece goes down at the bottom, and I think that's about right. It's got a nice little section. Yeah, we used to have a tool to do that. We did. All right, so now I'm going to just take that off and put some glue around. See, that's going to got close to the edge. My glue's going to splodge. Oh, yeah. And I've got a bit of green here that I don't want showing, so I'm just going to take, before that glues down, there we go, trim that excess off. And if you are worried about where your sentiment's going to go, or if you've got some kind of image that you're going to put on here, you may want to stamp those on here first. You still have that tool, Holly? Yeah, you know, I bet if I dig down, I probably have that as well. Now I've got some glue here. Told you it got a little close to the edge, so I'm just going to take my scissors and pick up that glue. And I've got an adhesive eraser, and I'm just going to take and just kind of erase that glue. You can use just a you can buy these erasers, not that this is called an adhesive eraser, but you can just buy an eraser that kind of looks like that, and it works really well. Okay, so I've got my card base mostly done. I'm going to stamp some images, but I wanted to show you, if you're like me, sometimes I'm a little lazy. I have a brand new Timid Tiger stamp pad, and I wanted to just show you, hopefully you know this by now, but on the back of every stamp pad is some stickers that you can use, and if you just take and gently lift where this arrow is, I've got my scissors, and I just take and lift that whole piece off. That can just go into my recycle bin. And there's Timid Tiger, 2 English, 1 plain, and then there's probably French and German. So one of these, you can just peel off, will go right on the front. Again, hopefully you know this. But if your ink pads are sitting there, then you're able to easily see what the colors are. So that goes on like that. And then if you take the second English one and open up your, let's put that down for a minute, open this up, and this little, oopsie, you can't see that, this little groove in here, this second one will, oops, not upside down, will go. So when you have it open, it's easy to see what the color is. And I just use my scissors or a bone folder or something to press that in. And then I also take this plain one and I put it in here. Oopsie, that'll go in there. That way, there's no doubt in my mind when I look at this ink pad what the color is. I can read it, I can see it, and I can see it from the front. So if you don't do that with your ink pads, check it out, because it really does make it easy to see what color you're using. Now, thanks for being you. I'm going to take and stamp, I think down here, but I'm going to grab I've got just a little scrap of paper. I do have my label on my stamp tonight, so I'm just testing to see how straight. It's not too bad. All around the sides and the inside, yeah, that's perfect, because you can definitely spot them if you need them. All right, so I'm just going to take and stamp. And so I'm just stamping in Timid Tiger. It says, thanks for being you. And then on the inside, I have a piece that is, I think I cut this 3 3/4 by 5, so a little bit smaller than I normally do. And take my scrap again. I'm going to stamp, you made my day. There we go. Hopefully straight. There we go, right in the middle. Okay, so then this, so if you wanted to, you could definitely do a whole bunch more to this card. Like I could have put that on, but it covers up my designer series paper and I really don't like the look of it. So we'll save that for another card. But I'm definitely going to put some of these really pretty shimmer dots on. And I'm using the petal pink ones, 2 sizes, so we'll put some of those on there like that. So a really easy fault line card. If you've never made one, they are so easy, and I just really love that effect. So again, that suite is called Floral Charm, and the bundle is called Charming Day, and it will be available starting July 1st. So a sneak peek for you. And again, if you didn't see the card that I made last night with the sketch that I did, check it out, because I used another piece of the designer series paper and it is all absolutely stunning. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now, I will be live on Saturday at 11. That's my normal time on Saturdays. That's 11 Pacific, so I'll share another project with you. Sunday, I won't be live. I'm going over to Vancouver, or to the Vancouver area. We're doing an opportunity event. So I may see some of you at that event. And otherwise, I will see you Saturday online, and then again on, be back on Tuesday. Thanks, Pam. Thanks, everybody, for joining.